Tomorrow night, under the Dubai lights, a 20-year-old walks into a stadium that will sound like Manila. And on the other side of the net stands a top 10 predator who has made a career out of silencing fairy tales. But here's what nobody is talking about. This isn't just a round of 32 match. This is a pressure chamber. Because if Alexandra Eala wins, she doesn't just beat Jasmine Paolini. She changes the hierarchy of women's tennis in one night. And if she loses, the doubts return. The whispers return. The not ready yet narrative returns. And that is where this story gets dangerous. The desert air in Dubai does something strange. The ball flies faster. The rallies shorten. The margins shrink. And under those conditions, small weaknesses become fatal. That's what makes this matchup explosive. On paper, Paolini is the favorite, top 10, battle-tested, relentless. But this is where things get complicated. Because Eala doesn't play like a world number 47 anymore. She plays like someone who's already broken through mentally. Someone who has seen the ceiling and punched through it. Rewind to Miami 2025. Nobody expected Alexandra Eala to storm into a WTA 1000 semifinal. Nobody expected her to stare down established stars and not blink. But she did. And something shifted. You could see it in her shoulders. In her walk. In the way opponents started watching her warm up with a little more caution. That wasn't a fluke run. That was a signal. And tomorrow night might confirm it. But here's the tension nobody wants to admit. Jasmine Paolini doesn't care about your storyline. She doesn't care about the crowd. She doesn't care about viral moments. She cares about control, rhythm, suffocation. She drags opponents into rallies they don't want. She forces them to hit one more ball, and then one more, and then one more. And when they finally go for too much, she's already waiting. That's the trap. And this is the part no one expected. Stylistically, Eala's greatest weapon could become her greatest risk. That heavy lefty forehand that kicks high and wide? It's devastating against players who panic. But Paolini doesn't panic. Her backhand is compact, early, surgical. She takes time away. She doesn't give you space to celebrate your own good shot. So what happens when Eala hits her signature cross-court forehand? And it comes back deeper, faster, lower to her feet. That's when doubt creeps in. That's when matches turn. But wait. Because there's another layer. The crowd. Dubai is not neutral territory for Eala. When she plays here, it sounds like home. Filipino flags. Drums. Chants echoing through the aviation club. That energy can lift her to another level. We've seen it before. But here's the psychological twist. Crowd energy is a double-edged sword. It lifts you, and it pressures you. Every missed second serve feels louder. Every break point tighter. Can a 20-year-old manage that emotional swing against a veteran who has played Billie Jean King Cup ties in hostile stadiums? That's not just tennis. That's nerve control. And speaking of second serves, this is where alarms quietly ring. Eala wins under 50% of her second serve points over the past year. Against average tour players, she survives. Against a top 10 returner who stands on the baseline hunting? That's danger. Paolini steps in. Takes it early. Redirects instantly. If Eala's first serve percentage drops below 65% tomorrow, this could spiral quickly. But that wasn't even the real story. The real story is pressure distribution. For Paolini, this tournament matters. She's defending points. A loss here. Ranking consequences. Momentum hit. Headlines about vulnerability. For Eala, it's house money. She's climbing. Every win is bonus territory. That psychological freedom can turn an underdog into a weapon. When you swing without fear, you swing faster, harder, freer. And Paolini knows that. Now imagine the opening 4 games. First meeting. 0 head-to-head data. The first few rallies will feel like reconnaissance. Testing spin. Testing pace. Testing depth. Lefty patterns against elite footwork. If Eala breaks early, the stadium explodes. And here's where things get complicated again. Paolini thrives in structure. If rhythm breaks, she has to adjust. And adjustment under noise is harder than people think. But don't underestimate the Italian. At 30, she's in the best phase of her career. She's answered every question critics ever threw at her. Too small, too defensive, not powerful enough. She didn't argue. She improved. She sharpened her timing. She built one of the most efficient movement patterns on tour. She doesn't waste steps. She doesn't waste swings. She waits for cracks. And against a young aggressor, cracks appear under scoreboard pressure. Here's another hidden factor: wind. A slight evening breeze is forecast. That may sound minor. It isn't. High toss serves drift. Heavy topspin sails long by inches. Eala's lefty shape through the air can be more susceptible. Paolini's flatter trajectory cuts cleaner. If conditions get tricky, who adapts faster? That answer might decide the first set before we even realize it. And this is where tension truly builds. If this goes 3 sets, the emotional battlefield changes. Conventional wisdom says youth wins endurance wars. But Paolini has built her reputation in marathon matches. Roland Garros, Wimbledon, grinding, recovering, refusing to fade. If rallies stretch past 15 shots consistently, advantage shifts. Eala must shorten points. Attack early. Use angles. Maybe even surprise with drop shots. Because if she plays standard baseline attrition tennis, the odds tilt heavily. But what if she disrupts? What if she refuses to give Paolini rhythm? Slice low. Change pace. Drag her forward unexpectedly. Force awkward half volleys. Make it messy. Because here's the truth: elite consistency players hate chaos. And chaos might be Eala's hidden card. So the real question becomes this: is Alexandra Eala ready to graduate? Not in ranking. In identity. Ready to stop being promising and start being dangerous? Because beating a top 10 player under lights, under pressure, with expectation roaring from the stands, that's not a small step. That's a statement. But we're not done. Because what happens in the final set, if it gets there, could define not just this match, but the early narrative of 2026. Now imagine this. 3rd set. 4 games all. The noise inside the stadium no longer sounds like cheering, it sounds like pressure. Every bounce of the ball echoes. Every towel break feels longer. This is where reputations are built, or quietly postponed. And here's what makes this moment terrifying for both players: they are fighting 2 opponents at once. The person across the net, and the voice inside their own head. Because what nobody tells you about playing a top 10 opponent is this: the first set is adrenaline, the second set is adjustment, but the 3rd set is identity. Who are you when fatigue creeps in? Who are you when your legs feel heavier than your ambition? This is where things shift from tactical to psychological. Let's talk about Paolini first. She has lived in these moments. Tight scorelines, long rallies, break points that feel like match points. She doesn't rush. She doesn't flinch. She slows her breathing. She resets. That's veteran control. And this is the part no one expected. Sometimes experience doesn't show up in highlight reels. It shows up in tiny decisions. Choosing the safe cross-court instead of the risky line. Serving body instead of wide at 30-30. Managing the tempo between points. Those micro-choices win matches. But here's the tension. Eala has something veterans cannot manufacture: unpredictability. When a young player believes she belongs, she becomes fearless. And fearless tennis is terrifying. You don't know when the drop shot is coming. You don't know when she'll redirect down the line. You don't know when she'll step inside the baseline and rip a return winner that silences a favorite. That uncertainty forces even elite players to hesitate. And hesitation, even for half a second, changes outcomes. And let's not ignore what this match represents beyond rankings. For Eala, this isn't just about beating Jasmine Paolini. This is about proving Miami wasn't lightning in a bottle. About showing the tennis world that Southeast Asia isn't emerging, it has arrived. When she steps on that court, she carries more than a racket. She carries expectation, pride, momentum. That can weigh you down, or lift you higher than logic predicts. But what happens if she starts slow? What if Paolini jumps to a 3-0 lead? That's when doubt creeps into the crowd. The noise softens. And here's where mental maturity is tested. Can Eala resist the urge to rush? Because rushing against Paolini is exactly what the Italian wants. She feeds on impatience. She absorbs it, then redirects it back at you. That's her genius. She doesn't overpower, she outlasts. But this is where things get dangerous for Paolini. If Eala holds early and keeps the scoreboard tight, pressure flips. Suddenly the favorite feels hunted. Every unforced error feels magnified. Every missed return questioned. Because losing to a surging 20-year-old isn't just a loss, it's a headline. And elite athletes feel headlines before they're written. Now imagine breakpoint at 5-5 in the decider. The crowd standing. Phones recording. History leaning forward. Does Eala trust the wide lefty serve under that tension? Or does she guide it? Because guided serves get attacked. And Paolini is one of the tour's most aggressive returners under pressure. She steps in, takes it early, strikes first. If she senses hesitation, she pounces. But here's the twist: if Eala lands that serve, if she commits fully, the entire emotional geometry changes. Confidence spikes. Shoulders loosen. Suddenly, the underdog looks inevitable. That's how momentum works. It doesn't shift gradually. It flips. And we haven't even talked about stamina under desert conditions. Night sessions in Dubai look glamorous. They are not easy. The air is dry. Recovery between points matters. Who manages hydration better? Who controls heart rate better? These details sound small. They are not. In tight third sets, marginal physical efficiency becomes decisive. Paolini's footwork is famously economical. She glides. She doesn't waste energy. Eala is explosive, dynamic. But explosiveness burns fuel. If rallies extend beyond 10 shots repeatedly, who pays the price first? But what if Eala keeps points under 6 shots? What if she refuses to rally? Attacks second serves. Uses angles. Forces Paolini forward unexpectedly. That disrupts rhythm. And Paolini's game thrives on rhythm. Break rhythm, you break comfort. Break comfort, you create vulnerability. And vulnerability is all an underdog needs. Let's zoom out for a second. The WTA right now is in transition. The established names are defending territory. The next generation is storming the gates. Matches like this decide who controls the narrative of 2026. If Eala wins, every draw she enters becomes different. She stops being a dangerous outsider and becomes a legitimate threat. Seeds start calculating. Commentators shift tone. Opponents prepare differently. One match can accelerate a career. But if Paolini wins convincingly, it reinforces hierarchy. It sends a message: rising stars must still pass through veterans. That order still matters. And Paolini, at 30, understands legacy maintenance. Staying top 10 isn't about talent alone. It's about consistency under threat. And Eala represents threat. So here's the ultimate question. Who handles the moment better? Not the forehand. Not the serve. The moment. Because under those lights, with that noise, in that heat, tennis becomes brutally simple. Execute or hesitate. Trust or doubt. Attack or retreat. Picture match point. Silence between bounces. One last serve. One last return. Does the ball clip the line? Does it drift long by an inch? That's how thin margins are at this level. And tomorrow, margins decide more than a scoreline. They decide belief. If you're backing Eala, ask yourself, can she maintain aggression without recklessness? If you're backing Paolini, ask yourself, can she absorb early chaos without tightening up? Because both scenarios are plausible. That's what makes this addictive. And here's what I want to know from you. Is this the night Alexandra Eala officially arrives? Or does Jasmine Paolini remind the tour that experience still rules under pressure? Drop your prediction below. Tell me in straight sets or 3. Tell me who takes the first set. I'm reading the comments. If you love high-stakes tennis breakdowns that go deeper than surface analysis, Hit like so more fans find this. Subscribe if you want post-match analysis immediately after the final ball. And most importantly, don't miss the opening games. Because sometimes the first 10 minutes quietly decide everything. Tomorrow night isn't just round of 32. It's a measuring stick. It's momentum versus mastery. Youth versus experience. And under those Dubai lights, only one story continues.